Have you ever looked at your life and thought, I should feel happier than this? Your job is stable, your paycheck is good, your benefits are solid. From the outside, everything looks like success. But inside, you feel drained, uninspired, and maybe even a little trapped. But the truth is, you're not stuck, you're just comfortable.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast from Burnout to Bliss, where we challenge the idea that success means settling for a life that no longer excites you. I'm Reginald Clark, and alongside my co-host Ebony Clark, today we're diving into a conversation that a lot of professionals in their 40s and 50s are quietly having with themselves.
Asking questions like, why do you stay in a career that you've outgrown? How does comfort slowly turn into a trap? And most importantly, how do you create the financial runway to pursue something greater without completely blowing up your life?
If you've ever felt like there's more out there for you, this episode is going to challenge the way you think about your career, your money, and your next chapter. So stay with us, because today we're talking about why you're not stuck, you're just comfortable. Remember, it's time to elevate.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, we're back in the studio once again. Really excited to bring you this episode today. This is one that hits home with us. One we talked about, a lot of our friend groups, some of our church members, some people in my frat, we talk about this. I'm sure Eb and her sorority members talk about this as well, because we all find ourselves kind of right here in the same space in life right now. And we're going to talk about, as you heard in the intro, being stuck in a career or feeling like you're stuck. Or we're going to contrast that with being comfortable and all that good stuff. And I want to say this real quick. I'm going to say this at the beginning, and I'm going to say this at the end if I remember. And that is, guys, the overarching theme I want you to take from this episode is this. Remember, you do not get a second bite at the apple, right? You don't want to go to the grave with any music left in you.
Yes.
So that's my overarching theme. But, Eb, I'm going to throw it over to you for a second.
Okay.
I want to start with a question. In your opinion, Ebony, what's the difference between being truly stuck in a career or simply being comfortable?
So that's an easy one. When you're stuck, you don't have any options. If you have options, you're not stuck. You are choosing to stay where you are because it's comfortable and it's easy. And you're thinking about it like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works. So a lot of times when we talk about being comfortable, it's just because what we're doing works. It's fine.
It's fine. Until it's not fine.
It's fine until it's not fine. And then, are we aiming for fine? Or are we aiming for great? Right. Are we aiming for excellent?
Well, I think that's a good point. You know, what are we shooting for? And everybody is, the good thing about success, and I tell people this all the time, is actually very similar to being rich, wealthy, whatever you want to call it, is that you get to define it for yourself.
Yep.
And part of the problem is, and we're going to go deeper into this later on, but part of the problem is when we let other people's definition that they've decided for themselves, when we adopt their definition of success, or we adopt their definition of rich or wealthy or lifestyle or whatever the case may be, that in turn can lead to feeling stuck, feeling burnt out, feeling all these different things that we're going to be discussing today.
It can, and then you're looking at them wondering why they're happy and you're not.
Right.
Because you're not on your path, you're on their path.
Yeah, you're on their definition, not your definition. So, but we're going to get into that. So, you know, I put up a post in preparation just Friday. I put up a post where I asked the question, I said, why do so many successful people feel burned out even though they have stable careers? And man, people really jumped on it and got the comment. And it took off. And I want to look at some of these. We don't have time to go through all of them, but there was all of them. First of all, if you took time to comment, you know, I'm like, hey, appreciate that, because that was some really good insight, really good content. But I want to, you know, just look at a couple of them. Dana P., he said it's that dopamine that hits different at different levels. He said when you reach your goal, you got to get the dopamine hits from progress along the way. Then it stops because you have made that thing. Most professionals do not recognize when those next goal achievement dopamine will hit from, you know, where we hit from, and thus no more hits, and you start to feel the burnout.
Wow.
I understand exactly what he's saying. You know, one of the things that I've shared before, and I'll continue to tell people, and that is, it is a very dangerous thing to hit your goals. A very dangerous thing. Because if you have not, along the way, set new goals, when you hit those goals, you'll find yourself just kind of flopping in the wind. And I remember, and I'm going to share a story. I remember years ago, Ebony and I, we first learned about vision boards. we first learned about vision boards and got really excited about it. We did a vision board. I looked up, I can't remember the number of years that had transpired, but 95% of everything on the vision board had been accomplished. Mm-hmm. And what I realized was that the last few years of my life had just kind of been on autopilot. Now, I wasn't at that time, I wasn't feeling any burnout or whatever, but I also didn't have that fire, that burning passion in me, and I didn't know why. And it was because when I realized I'm not shooting for anything.
Right.
I'm not aimed at anything. So, again, dangerous thing to hit your goals. You got to keep new goals to keep you pressing, to keep you moving. Life is about a steady progress. But go ahead.
And you got to add them while you're still working on the current goals.
Yeah.
You don't wait until you've accomplished all of them and then decide what the next goals are. Make it a rolling list. So as something, you complete something, reach a goal, and it rolls off, add something else to it. So you are always have a list going.
Absolutely. Trey said, my good friend Trey, what's up, Trey? Hope she's listening. She said, sometimes the successful career is not really the career they are passionate about, but rather it just allowed them the financial success.
Yeah, that's good. We're going to get into that a little more later.
Okay, I was about to jump into it now.
Well, we can do it now.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes, like, when you're wondering why people stay in careers that they're not fulfilled, it's because sometimes it's just monetary. Like, there's a divide between the financial benefits of their job versus the financial benefits of what they're passionate about. That may not pay.
Right.
But reality says I need something that pays because we have these responsibilities. I have a house and a car and retirement that I'm planning for and children and all of these things. So I may not be able to quit my job and go be a barista because my job, my bills say I need to be at this level.
Right. And that's another part I want to hit a little later on, but I agree 100%. So trying to find, as we unpack this, we see people start to have these feelings, these conversations. And as I said in the intro, typically the conversation starts within themselves. Then you find somebody that's kind of thinking the same way, and y'all start talking about this stuff. Around 40s and 50s is when these conversations get louder. Why do you think it happens around those ages?
I think that you're in a interesting point where you're deep enough into your career that you're comfortable. You're comfortable with what you know. Like at this point, you know that you're a specialist. You know that you have skills.
Right.
You have the education behind it. So you're not trying to get your confidence up in what you do. You're there for that.
Right.
But there's other stuff that you want to do. And you're right in the middle, and you really don't know how to mitigate that. Like, how do I turn my back on all that I've invested? Like, I want to get an ROI from what my years of education and my years of skills, but I'm kind of tired of it too.
Right. I'm going to offer another reason. I agree with that 100%. I'm going to offer another reason. When you turn the corner at 40 and then you turn it again at 50, what starts to happen too is that the reality that time is finite starts to set in even more. So now you start to think about what all you haven't done with this gift called life that you've been given. And when you know that you have greatness inside of you, for lack of a better word, maybe a better word out there, but I can do this, I can do that, but you got all of that in front of you, or it's out there, but at the same time, again, like you said, you got real life stuff right here, right now, and you have a career that's paying for real life stuff. But this real life stuff that you got and this career is not giving you what you're looking for. But you know that the window of time is not forever. So it really starts to hit at this age. So guys, how do we navigate each other through this time period of our life? Not just us giving y'all game, because I'm looking at all the the responses on the post, some really, really good information out there. Go find my Facebook page, look at their posts, read all of them. It's a lot of good stuff out there. I see that Chastity wrote, the pressure to be perfect causes burnout. TD said, success is tiring.
I like that one. He also said, when I was never tired when I was not having to get up. Basically, when he didn't have a bedtime and didn't have to get up to be anywhere at a particular time, he wasn't tired then. It was once he decided that he wanted to be successful. He said the stress of wanting more in life is heavy.
Yes, yes. Not factoring, Jarrell said, not factoring in stress levels when balancing risk. Latoya said, like lack of work-life balance. Man, that's something. I'm going to say this. I'm Gen X, Gen X. If you're 40s and 50s, you're probably Gen X. Mm-hmm. You are Gen X. Maybe some millennials in there. I don't know the exact age cutoffs and all that. But anyway, the generations behind us are doing a better job at work-life balance. Mm-hmm. Some would say the life part is a little too much. Some of them doing too much life, not enough work. But they are doing a better job at that. Mm-hmm. And I think for us, we're more old school, and especially those of us that grew up kind of fast, like, had real responsibilities early in life. Mm-hmm. That stuff starts to weigh you down.
It does.
It starts to weigh you down. So again, you're young enough, you still got your health, you still, now you got some money, and there's other things trapped inside of you that you want to give birth to. You want to do this, you want to do that, and you don't have forever to do it.
And I will say, I think that our generation does a better job at it than our parents.
Oh, ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. Kim Baylor said the ladder of success is not an escalator. Oh, I love that. Raymond Lang said taking work home oftentimes on weekends when it's not mandatory. We do that, he said, just to stay ahead, just to keep up. And then stay ahead. My friend brother Page, he said burnout often stems from neglecting holistic self-care, encompassing mental, physical, spiritual well-being. It's crucial to recognize the importance of maintaining a healthy balance in all aspects of life. That was frat brother John Paisley. So again, very good information, guys. Thank you for chiming in on that. But these are some things, these are some reasons why so many of you are feeling burnt out right now. And we're going to talk about, again, how do we navigate it?
So, Reggie, what are some warning signs that you've outgrown your career?
Oh, man, some warning signs that you outgrown. Well, I would say, when a person is feeling drained instead of energized, I can honestly say, guys, and Eb knows, she can attest to it. When I get up in the morning, most mornings out of a 5-day work week, I'm excited to get to the office. Yeah. So I'm like James Cleveland. I ain't feeling no ways tired right now. I'm telling you, man. So, but when you have that drained feeling, and that becomes your state of being, especially as it relates to work, that's an early sign that you're probably feeling burnt out. You're no longer learning or growing on the job. A job should challenge you mentally.
Right, it should.
Some jobs challenge you physically, depending on what you're doing for a living. But it should also challenge you mentally, because you want to know that you're continuing to challenge your mind. This is why, as we get older, and you take the generation in front of us, this is why it's so important that they'll tell you, medical doctors will tell you, continue to do crossword puzzles, continue to get acclimated to technology, to fool around with AI and do all these things.
Adult coloring books, that's what the baby boomers is what sparked that whole thing.
Yes. We got to continue to challenge our minds. So when job gets boring because you're not growing, that's a sign of burnout. Or you're daydreaming. You find yourself daydreaming 20, 30 minutes. You know what? I'm going to tell you. Instead of daydreaming, let's scrolling. You find yourself scrolling. You up on all the latest Instagram, TikTok, Facebook posts, and it's not even lunch yet. Like you current on everything on your timeline. You probably starting to start some burnout there because hey, I catch up. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
That could be a sign of you think you just bored. No, you experiencing some early signs of burnout.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And then a lot of people stay in jobs they no longer enjoy. Because we talked about for financial reasons. We already talked about that. But it could be because they're comfortable. We kind of talked about that. But also locale.
Yeah.
It may be something that you're so passionate about that you can't do from here. You need to do it from another city, another country. But all of that takes consideration.
It does. It does. Another sign, too, Eb, is that the paycheck is now the only thing keeping you there.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. The income is good, the benefits are good, but you have no more passion. And that one more thing. It's going to be a lot of more things. I don't know why I said one more thing, but when you get to this stage of life, you start to think about legacy. You start to think about impact. How will the world know I came this way? And maybe you don't feel like the widget that you work on all day long is making an impact. And so now you're looking for something with more purpose. That could be a sign of burnout too.
It could be. And then I don't know if we're even going to get to this, but one remedy may be doing something different.
Yeah.
But another remedy may be adding a passion project.
Right.
Maybe just by volunteering somewhere or partnering with someone to do a nonprofit, that may be enough to renew give you what you need, and you feel renewed at work.
I love that idea. So you don't necessarily have to turn your back on what it is you do for a living. You may need to add something with the purpose that you desire. I love that. Which may actually end up taking you away from what you do for a living. I don't know. Or your values could no longer align with the work that you do. You know, here's the thing. You're constantly growing, or you should be. You're constantly growing. Life is not static. It's always moving. And like a river, it's always moving forward. So if you grow, when you grow into a different person, if you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. If you are, you wasted 10 years of your life. So, but if you grew into a different person, but the position and the company didn't grow with you, now you feeling like y'all you're diverging. Y'all going two different directions. So again, if that's a feeling you have, like I don't think like the way this company thinks anymore. Again, another early sign.
And you'll hear me say often, organizations, companies, families, they have cultures. Yep. Like they have their own character. And sometimes your character may not align with the character for this company or organization, like you said.
Absolutely.
And it can happen if the company gets purchased and things just change.
Things do change. Things are always changing. Yeah, this first episode has gone by so fast. Look, before we go on to break, or as we go on to break, I got two things I want you to think about, guys, as we pay these bills. When was the last time you felt excited about what you do every day? When was that last time? And also, are you staying because you love the work, or is it because you fear the unknown? Guys, stay with us through the commercial break. Remember, it's time to elevate.
This episode of the Elevate Podcast is brought to you by P3 Wealth Management, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Tennessee. Whether you're investing, preparing for retirement, or creating a lasting legacy, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. At P3 Wealth Management, we turn your financial goals into a strategy, so you can focus on living the life you worked hard for. Visit p3wealth.com to schedule your consultation today, or call us at 901-209-4015. That's p3wealth.com. Plan, protect, and prosper.
And we're back. This is the Elevate Podcast, from Burnout to Bliss. We're your hosts, Reginald and Ebony Clark. And today we are talking about the fact that you may not be stuck, you're just comfortable. Yep. If you missed the first segment, we were talking about the actual definition of being comfortable versus being stuck.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into, how does comfort slowly creep into a career trap?
Man, comfort can definitely turn into a career trap. So comfort turns into a career trap, guys, when predictability replaces purpose. We ended that last segment talking about purpose. And as human beings, we desire purpose for our own selves, and we want to be purposeful in our living. It's just a core need. That steady paycheck, the benefits, the routine, they all create a sense of security. Matter of fact, that's really what a lot of people base their job. When you're looking around Indeed, or you're looking on, do people still use Monster? Is that still a thing?
You know what? I don't know. I don't think so.
Know. I hadn't heard about. I don't know. Anyway, whatever sites you go to these days, what do people use these days? I don't know.
Headhunter? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so whatever it is, people are often looking for the jobs based on the things that create security. Job security. And the feeling of security. The feeling of, so not just the job security, like is it a Fortune 5? Is it, what's the demand for my position, but does it make me feel secure? But over time, your lifestyle grows to depend on that income. We're going to talk about lifestyle creep in just a second. Your expenses and your responsibilities pile up. So now the risk of making changes start to feel too high. The risk, it gets too scary. But before you know it, you're not staying, because you don't love the work. You're staying because the idea or the thought of feeling is so terrifying,
right,
that you go to what's comfortable versus what can give you what it is you're really looking for.
You're scared to leave, basically.
So now the career has trapped you. Now you feel that career trap, and because comfort slowly turned into that.
That's a good point. Another way, sometimes you can get caught in a career trap is things are different than they were when our parents were in the workforce. They worked for the same company for 20, 30 years,
right.
and there was no negative connotation to being at a particular company for a long time, and it's different now. Like,
right.
if you are looking for another job and they see that you've been in your current position too long, they're starting to wonder why. So sometimes you being comfortable and not going after anything different will put you in a position where you can't.
Right.
Because they want to see movement every 5 to 7 years.
Right.
So that's an inadvertent way that you can fall into a career trap as well.
It is, and like you said, so the generation before us, that's the way life was set up. So you went and got a 30-year mortgage, which is a whole thing with that. I won't deal with it now. But you went and got a 30-year mortgage. You worked 25, 30 years before your pension kicked in. And so the idea was that by the time you pay your house off, the pension starts, and you die 18 months later. But well, that's how it was set up. But things are different. Society's more mobile. People are moving around. So again, that's all different. I want to talk. Did you have something else on that?
Go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit about this lifestyle creep.
Okay.
I mentioned just a second ago. Y'all, you got to stay with me right here. And I wish you could see me draw this out on the whiteboard. So many of my clients have seen me do it, actually. Lifestyle creep, what it does, or some people may call it lifestyle inflation, but I'm going to tell you today, you can look it up, a term called Parkinson's Law. Parkinson's Law. And what Parkinson's Law basically states is that nature abhors or hates a vacuum, any empty space. Usually the way I describe it is, it's just like, you clean up your room, you vow, for me it's that garage, I vow this garage is going to stay clean this time, and then maybe take a month and a half, all that empty space that was created by cleaning it up, stuff just magically reappears because nature cannot stand something being empty. So here's what happens. You're on the job, you're doing a great job, you're kicking butt, management sees, hey, we need to promote this person, boom, you get the promotion, now you're making more income. Well, the thing about it was the expenses, the lifestyle you were living were based on your previous income. Well, now you have a new income. So the distance between your new income and your current lifestyle is empty space.
Right.
So what happens is most of us don't fill that space up with savings and investing. Our lifestyle creeps up to meet our new income level. And this happens time and time and time again. So now, again, this is helping to create the dependency on the job, as though it's almost become a drug. I can't do without it because I've let my lifestyle creep some. And this is exactly why you can look back and you can say, man, when I first started working, I was making $45,000 a year. Now you make $145,000 and feel like you hadn't gotten ahead.
Right.
This is why that happens.
I have those conversations all the time. So when I do the final review with my tax clients, we have a 3-year summary. I can see exactly what they made, their deductions, all of that stuff for a 3-year stretch on one piece of paper. And I review that with them. And 9 times out of 10, if there's a significant jump in those 3 years, the client does not realize it. And they're like, I don't know where the money went.
Yeah.
Because it didn't feel like it. I may say,
right.
I made $40,000 more in 25 than you did in 24. I'm like, well, we don't feel it.
Right. And I know they tell the truth. They don't feel it because it happens so quietly, so subtly. It just sneaks up on you. So I don't want to give you the problem without giving you the solution. Here's the solution. If anybody wants to know, okay, Reg, I hear you. What do I do about it? I'm about to tell you. What happens, so here's what you got to do. When you get that next income bump, let's say, for instance, that next bump is $10,000.
Okay.
We're just going to say it's $10,000 more. Again, if you don't change, your expenses are going to eat this $10,000 up. Here's what you got to do. You have to immediately take a portion of that bump off the table by way of saving and investing. Immediately. And because taxes are going to get their fair share of the bump.
Right.
You have to take part of it off the table yourself. So I'm just going to make up. So let's say taxes take $2,000 of it. I want you to take 5 of it off. And then with that other 5, I do want you to experience more life now. Right? So creep up and take that off. And I got a real life example of this. One of my clients may or may not be listening right now, but I remember this particular client was working at Terminex.
Okay.
And I remember he got a job over at FedEx that literally doubled his salary. And he and I sat down. He remembered the conversation. He said, man, I remember you was telling me about this. He said, what do I need to do? And we mapped out something. We put it in place. We took a lot of that off the table. And he will tell you, man, he's educated his kids with this. He's done a lot with this because he did not let his lifestyle eat up all of his new salary.
Wow, that's a great example.
Yeah.
When you were talking about feeling even more trapped because you've let the lifestyle creep up to your new salary, the concept of golden handcuffs.
Yes.
You are handcuffed to your job or company. It's not always a job. It can be your own company, but you're handcuffed there because you have to have the benefits that it allows.
Can I share another story? So another fraternity brother of mine, I remember he told me this when he was, this was years ago. We were first coming out of University of Memphis. He's a year or two behind me. He started working at a company here. I won't call the name. One of the big companies here. And what he shared with me, as he started to climb the ladder there, he was still driving his old beat-up vehicle from college because he just went into the trappings, right? And what he shared with me was that his management team, the people up above you, the silo above him, they started to suggest in a roundabout way that, hey, man, you need to basically step your game up on your vehicle. And, man, this thing was paid for. It was getting the way he wanted to go. But they basically said, look, no, we drive cars that look like this. And he realized what he shared with me. He said, man, they trying to put me in a position where I need them.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes this career trap may not necessarily be generated from us. It may come from pressure from the outside. Now, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to keep up with the Joneses, this, that, and the third, but other times it can come from other places. So, again, we need this career. Not just want it, but we need it.
That's interesting that you said that because I was going to bring up, with the golden handcuffs, one of the examples is a fear of losing status or identity.
Yes.
So if you say, hey, my name is Jim and I am CIO, and there's a certain status that comes along with that. So if you decide to do something different, that may be how you've identified yourself so long that you don't know who Jim is if Jim is not the CIO.
Jim becomes a position. Your name becomes a position. You're not a person anymore.
Right.
Like you said, so you've wrapped your identity up into the position within this other company, within their structure. That's who you are. And that definitely could be, man, look, I see it too. And I've seen that where I've seen people more congratulatory to someone who gets a promotion versus someone that starts their own business. And I've seen it. I mean, it's reality. It is what it is. But that's something I've noticed, down through the years. Hey, I just got, and look, I'm gonna tell you, I don't care what home run you hit, whether it's that next promotion, it's that next title. You happy? I'm great. But I also want to give that same accolade, those same flowers to the person that steps out there and does their own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I want to be sure, I want to give at least 3 comfort traps because I think that's very important to this conversation. The first comfort trap was we talking about lifestyle creep, lifestyle inflation. I gave you all Parkinson's Law. Ebony, there's another one that I see people dealing with, and that is the fear of starting over. And it kind of goes with what you just said as far as losing the status, but talk about a little bit about the fear of starting over.
It is very hard to go from something that you know to the unknown. So when you start all over, it is unknown. And some outside of income and status, you also have to think about how you actually want your life to go. So if you're in your 40s and 50s, you've climbed the ladder, you've built a business, and you're looking to start all over, you got to decide, is that the type of lifestyle that I want at this time?
Right.
Like, do I want to go from where I'm working a normal work week to working 70, 80 hours a week at 45 years old?
Right.
So you have to be realistic yes, you may have always had a goal to own this business or to start this, but is it going to fit your overall lifestyle goal?
I want to, yes, I agree with you. And the clarity I want to bring to what you're saying is, I think about what we went through 20-something years ago, starting P3. And that was a lot of long nights, a lot of broke pockets, a lot of, we could do entire episodes where we did. We did do an episode where we talked about the dark side, the lonely days, the long days, I can go on and on, man. It certainly was not always peaches and cream. It ain't always peaches and cream now. But even then, it was some very, very rough times. And I look at myself now, 52 years old, I have to ask myself, would I be willing to do that now?
Right.
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I can't answer that for anybody else, obviously. But I don't even know if I can answer it for me. Like, I got other people to depend on. It was different when it was me and Eb dating, and we decided we eating ramen noodles tonight.
Right.
Because I just got through eating ramen noodles in college, so I'm cool. But I don't know if I want, all the balls I have to keep in the air for people around me, people that's in my orbit, I don't know if I want to impose that on them. So the fear of starting over, y'all, if that's something you're wrestling with, I'm telling you, I understand. I understand. I'm co-signing that. And there's ways we can push through that, ways we can mitigate that fear. But trust me, I'm with you on that.
And it takes planning. So, and I know a lot of times you've heard us say, "Do it scared, do it scared." Mm-hmm. True. If there's something that you're fearful of, yes, do it scared. But in this instance, when you're talking about starting over and you're in your 40s and 50s, it's not just about doing it scared.
No, it's not just about doing it scared.
You need to analyze.
Yeah, we need a strategy. We need
a strategy. You need to sit down on paper, all of that stuff, and say, truly get down to, is this what I want?
Right, because the stakes are higher. Mm-hmm. The stakes are higher. Time is, again, like I mentioned before, it's not infinite. So you got in my opinion, you got to go for it, but we got to do it calculated. Mm-hmm. We're going to do it scared, but we're going to calculate our steps. We're going to order these steps. Because, some of the biggest financial mistakes I think people make when they are at this point is if you let the frustration pile up too much, the lid blows off, and then you just start, I'm going to cash out the 401k, I'm going to go buy a food truck, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you don't flew off the handle, you cussed your manager out, you can't go back that way, the food truck didn't work out, you didn't get your right permits, and somebody got sick, and it just went because you just let it. You didn't plan that thing out right, man.
Quitting too soon. We've seen examples of that.
Absolutely. So anyway, the point we're making here is, yes, fear is there. There's legitimate reasons fear is there if starting over at this point of the game, but there are ways we can navigate it, we can mitigate it, and you can get through that stage to get on to what it is you really want to do. Guys, we actually right up against another commercial break. We're going to pause right here. When we come back, we're going to be talking about...
So we're going to be talking about the transition runway. How do you actually transition to something new?
Right. So, all right. Remember, stay with us, guys, through the commercial break, and it's time to elevate.
Tax season doesn't have to be stressful. Power 104 listeners, get your taxes done the right way with P3 Financial Group. Call 901-209-4015 and work with professional tax preparers open year-round, not just during tax season. Whether you want an in-person review or a 100% virtual experience, we make it easy and secure. And Power 104 listeners get an exclusive discount when you mention this ad. Don't wait until the last minute. Call 901-209-4015 today and file with confidence.
And we are back for this final segment of this episode where we're talking about you're not stuck, you're just comfortable. Guys, you're here with Reginald Clark and Ebony Clark on the Elevate podcast. Today we've been talking to our 40s, people in our 40s and the 50s, our listeners 40s and 50s, who have been feeling stuck or burnt out in their careers, trying to wrestle with why they feel stuck, how do they push through it, what to do. And we've identified some of it is you're not stuck, you're really just kind of comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you missed those first two segments, go back and check them out. Got some real good content there. Now, would you like to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, what I want to transition to now in this last segment, Eb, is we've kind of talked about, the difference between being stuck and comfortable. The last segment, we worked through that part. I want to move now to transitioning to what we call that runway, that transition runway. Right. So, Ed, what is the transition runway and why is it important?
The transition runway is your plan for making a change.
Okay.
So if you've been rocking with us for a while, you know that we're always going to give you some practical steps, things you can actually use going forward.
Yes.
And this is it. Changes like this can't be done abruptly. We talked about that in the last segment. It can cause all kind of problems if you just wake up one day and decide to do something different. So your transition runway is a actual literal plan on how you're going to get from where you are through the change that you want to make.
And by plan, it needs to be written somewhere.
Yes.
A plan is not written down, y'all. It's just a wish or a dream. But go ahead, Ed.
And so this is what you should do before you actually make a leap. But
Okay.
what are some other things as well? Because you've got to get other people involved.
The chaos it would cause me and us right now if Ed all of a sudden announced, hey, I'm leaving P3. I want to go make coffee for a living. Now, she loves coffee and visit coffee shops all around the city. But if that was like an abrupt thing, that would be a problem. Mm-hmm. So one of the things you got to do before you get after you get your mind right, that this is something you want to do, my suggestion would be let's incorporate the people who this change is going to affect the most. Mm-hmm. All right? And let's now, you have to thread the needle between do you need 100% of their buy-in or not, but they at least need to be part of your decision making.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If it affects them, right? And in addition to now I want to go back to the financial side though. The financial and strategic cushion you build before making this change. There's some when Ed was talking about this runway, this transition need to be written down. Y'all, we got to talk about this change realistically. When you cut off the income supply, if you cut it off. Now, this is not the example you gave, which I love that example back in the last segment, when you said that a person could, if it's purpose and passion they're looking for, maybe they can find a nonprofit or a project to add to the career.
Correct.
But what we're talking about now, right at this point, you're thinking about leaving the career, maybe to start your own business, to do something else in place of that. Mm-hmm. So if that's what you're doing, the first thing we need to do is talk about or think about how much money do you have saved up.
True. And I want to offer something before we go down the plan.
Go
so
ahead.
You just mentioned like you have a career and you're making a change to maybe starting a business. Mm-hmm. But the inverse is true as well. Because some people close their businesses to go back into the workforce.
Oh yeah.
So there's the considerations would
I see
you
what you're
gotta
saying. Yes.
It's not just one way, so you got to think about it both ways.
That may be a topic for an entire episode because you talk about some emotional upheaval when you have to close a business that you started. Mm-hmm. That's a whole separate thing. So, but I agree with you. But so from a financial perspective, you were meeting with me and you were telling me this is what you wanted to do. Once we got through the applause and I'm patting you on the back, I said, okay, we need to get down to the nuts and bolts. How long do we think it's going to take to get what you're doing up and running and strong enough and hopefully you build in the income in your projections.
Correct.
If you do it the right way, you build those income projections in. But at some point, that bad boy got to turn some money.
Right.
Because even if you built it into your initial capital raise, you're going to need some money beyond that. So how long is that going to take? All right.
And you need to be realistic with that time frame. Like, we're not talking about a couple of months.
Nah.
And even if you started a business and it was hot from the very beginning, that's not always sustainable.
Right.
So you can't base because you did all of this marketing push and you got 1,000% increase in the first 2 months. You can't plan your whole business financial plan on that. So,
I agree 100%. And I want to say something else right here, Ebony, that I say this now with the wisdom of being able to look back because what I'm about to share, I didn't do it like this, but I'm telling you, I wish someone had taught me this. When you start a business, if you haven't raised enough capital to pay yourself out the gate, what your position is worth, then you haven't raised enough money yet. Mm-hmm. And you need to stay in that phase. You need to stay in the raise money phase. Because if you're going to try to just shoestring, I'm going to get by how I get by, blah, 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 especially if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're not doing it right. Mm-hmm. And you're setting yourself up for what's probably not going to end well. I'm telling you. So
you owe yourself more than that.
yes, man. If you let's be even more clear than what I've been. I'm just using round numbers. If you've been making $100,000 a year on your job, and you're starting a business, have enough capital raised by however you raising your capital. That's a separate issue. Have enough money on the front end to continue to pay yourself what you're used to earning, and work your butt off to be sure the company gets profitable fast enough to continue that. And that way you won't ever experience a dip in income.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times we start businesses and we shoestringing it. We're trying to get by the best we can. But at this stage of the game, guys, that's not what you want to do. All right?
Also, as you are going through that transition plan, you need to start reducing debt.
Yes, you better.
So you need the least amount as possible pulling on your business resources.
Yep.
If you're going from a career to a business, you need to lighten that load. You don't want to add all kind of baggage on top of what you're already doing. So reducing debt is definitely should be on that transition plan.
It is. It's on this, and I want to add to that. Reducing debt, I want to add like 6 and 8 running mates. I want to add the running mate to reducing debt is adding assets. Okay. During this transition phase, if you can add, and just remember, y'all, keep in mind, liabilities are anything liabilities will eat you alive when cash flow is low. Assets add money to your pocket. That's the easiest way to remember it. But if I know, let's say I know 3 years from now I want to do this transition, or 18 months from now, or whatever my window is, that's probably, it could be, especially in Memphis, I know it is, that's enough time to add in enough rental property. I'm just using rental property as an example, to replace my income or replace a portion of my income to help me through this transition. So not only am I paying down debt, I want to put some other things in place to give me some passive income as I make this transition.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So don't just pay down debt. Add in some assets. Add in some cash flowing assets.
That's a really good point. And don't discount networking and skill building.
No, don't discount that.
You may be one person away from reaching your goal.
No, you are one person away.
So you have to get out there. You have to network. And I know people feel like sometimes networking is so canned, only because you feel that way. Like there's nothing wrong with getting out there and communicating with other people what you do and getting from them what they do to see how you all can work together or help each other.
Yep.
I love being able to pass on referrals or be a resource for someone, because you never know what that one introduction will lead to.
And if you have a problem, I'm not a natural networker. I'm just not. That's just not my thing. But I've had to do it to grow my business. And when you find yourself around people, like Ed mentioned, people that want to see you succeed, and you're in that circle and you want to see other people succeed, networking becomes so much easier. Networking is hardest when you're around the wrong people. Change your circle and get involved with the right people. And I'm telling you, networking becomes so easy. It becomes so easy. Because a lot of times what we call networking, it ain't networking. It's just people popping off, showing I'm this, that, and the third, and yada yada yada, and it's an excuse smokescreen for some party.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't networking. But true networking, it becomes real easy when you're with the right people.
So I'm gonna give the accounting perspective of the transition runway.
Okay.
So definitely need to track your spending, but you also need to get with someone that can walk you through the tax implications of starting a business or being self-employed, if that's the way you're going, and vice versa. If you're going from owning a business back to being an employee, there's some tax considerations along with that, with closing your business, selling your business, etc.
Right.
You need someone who's skilled in that area to be able to walk you through that, because you do not want to get to the next year and we're preparing the previous year's taxes and now it's a big mess because you didn't think ahead.
Great point. Now, something I want to add from the financial perspective, Ed. Earlier when I mentioned, I said, in your planning, in your transition planning, I guess we kind of frame it as part of the conversation, people are leaving that to go do their own thing. May not be the case. They could be transitioned to do a completely different career somewhere else.
That's true.
And that'll take some of these considerations off the table, guys. So that just hit me. So we kind of been framing this conversation out for people that's about to make a transition to do their own thing. So just wanted to get that backdrop. But if that's the case, well, another thing you got to do, remember, guys, all the things that made you choose that job, like we talked about earlier, the benefits, the insurance, the retirement plan, the pension, or whatever the case may be, it's going to be on you now. We have to keep these things going. It's going to look different, but you got to protect your retirement accounts.
Because you're still going to want to retire one day.
Yes. Trust me, even as a business owner, you're going to want to lay it down someday. So you want to factor all of that, not just your salary, but your benefits that you've grown used to. You want to factor how do I fund and pay for those not after I make this transition. Right. How do I keep that going too? So you got to protect those retirement accounts. You got to make smart moves. And the main thing I want to say, if I've said it in one episode, I've said it in 5, and that's this: I'm not a supporter of dispersing a retirement account to start a business. Now, people are different sides of the argument on that one. I'm just telling you that's my position. My position is those retirement dollars are for your retirement, for the day you want to make work optional. There's other pools of money that exist to start businesses, i.e. business loans or equity sales of the company, whatever the case may be. So that's just my take on that. And
I agree. Sometimes that's the easiest pot for someone to access.
Right.
But they don't always consider the tax implications either. So right now we're talking to 40 and 50-year-olds. You're going to get penalized if you take that money because you're under 59 and a half.
Yep.
So whatever you think it's going to cost for you to start your business, if you plan on using retirement assets to do it, add the penalty and the taxes that you're now going to have to pay on to that cost.
And exactly. And I'm going to tell you all, man, one of the biggest sticker shocks right now, if you start looking around, I want you to look at what you pay for health insurance now. Look at your family size. Look at your copay. What is it called when you go to the doctor? That's your copay.
Copay.
The other part.
Deductible.
Yeah, look at your deductible. Look at all that. And then try to find that same plan or something similar to that in the individual health insurance marketplace. Man,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm not telling you can't find it, but try to find. You'll find the plan. Try to find it at the same price point that you pay now, that your employer pays with you. I'll share this with you. When all this health insurance stuff happened last year, and we knew, based on the administration, some things were changing, our health insurance went up by $500 per month, not to $500. It increased an additional $500 per month. And I'm going to tell you, man, and that's a good point, too. That takes me back to something I said earlier. In the early years, I'll tell y'all, I didn't have health insurance.
Right.
I was like, man, look, I'm straight. I get a cold, I'll drink me some orange juice and call it a day. But at 52, I don't want to be out here without health insurance.
Right.
I ain't trying to wing it like that now. You know what I'm saying? So that's something. That's something you got to think about.
Kids without health
no,
insurance.
I don't want the babies without health insurance either. But back then, I was like, man, look, as long as Ray ain't got health insurance, I'm good. I'll figure it out. But again, that's not a chance I'm willing to take now. So these are things we got to factor into that transition plan. Okay.
Man, this has really been some good information, Janice. I've enjoyed this episode.
I have too.
Listeners, I want you to lean in and listen, and I want you to actually answer this question. What would you attempt if you knew you had a financial runway and a plan?
Can I add to that?
Yes.
What would you attempt? But I just want to, that's a friendly addendum to the motion, please.
Okay.
What would you attempt if you knew you had a financial runway and a plan that wouldn't fail?
Ooh.
If you knew it wouldn't fail, what would you do? That's what I want the listeners to think about. Go ahead.
So think about that. And we'll be back next week.
Well, hold on, slow down there, Coach E. We'll be back next week, but a couple things we want you to take away, guys, is that you may not be stuck. You may simply be comfortable with the predictability of your current lifestyle. All right. Also, remember, comfort can quietly steal your growth, your creativity, and your purpose. Remember, guys, being comfortable is great, but nothing grows in the comfort zone. And the goal isn't to quit recklessly. All right. If this episode has moved you, it's to build a plan that gives you the freedom to choose your next chapter. Remember what I started, and I'm going to finish with the same thing. We don't get a second bite at the apple. All right, we got to go. We got to take it while we can. We don't want to go to the grave with any of the music left in us. Guys, you can get in touch with us. You can catch us at 901 209-4015. That's our number here at P3 Financial Group. You can reach Ebony at
Eb the Advisor on social media, and Reggie's at the Money Jedi on social media.
On money, that's it. So, guys, we're going to get out of your way. Keep it locked on Power 104.1 FM. Remember, it's time to elevate.